Alright guys, so we're back with the second one in this sort of like series that I'm doing called Documenting the Journey. So for those of you who don't know, basically what I'm doing is every week I'm doing a video about documenting the journey of creating a one-man design agency. So this is the second one, the second week in. And it's been a little bit of a slow week, but for some good reasons, let's say. So on Friday I flew to Munich, which was really nice. I had it planned already for a while, so it was kind of like one of those things where it's you almost didn't want to go because you had the momentum, but you booked it, so you kind of had to go. But actually it was really what I needed. I just needed kind of like this short reset before coming back to this. So in a way it was really nice, super cool. Just went over there to meet a friend for like a long weekend. Amazing weather, super warm, sunny, just like music festival, like sunbathing in parks next to rivers, and it was just really nice. Such a nice difference between Barcelona and Munich, because Munich is much more peaceful. It's a little bit cooler in some ways, although it was still really hot, like 30 degrees. The air was cooler, and it's just really nice to get that balance. And I think this is probably what this whole episode is going to be about. Balance and sort of the different areas I'm trying to strike it in, because I noticed that was the theme that kept coming up time and time again when I was thinking about what to talk about for this week. But we'll get back to that. The first thing is just like the update in general on the business. Now, obviously, of course, I've only really had two and a half-ish days back doing things since I came back from Munich on the Monday. So, not a huge amount has happened, but I'm very close to finishing the website. We've just got a few things to tidy up on the mobile aspect of the site, so making it nice and responsive. And once that's done, we'll get the shout out from Framer. So hopefully, I think it's like 70k followers, so that'll be really good. So yeah, super close. I should finish that tonight, actually. Hopefully get the domain transferred over and have that live, which has just been sort of the sticking point for me to really feel like I'm actually able to start. So that would be really good. Really looking forward to just getting that out there, to be honest. It's such an important part, of course, of starting your brand, is like launching a website. So that would be really cool. What else has happened? Yeah, I had my first sales call on Tuesday, I think it was. Yeah. Which was really random. It came out of nowhere. I think I talked about it in the last one. Came out of nowhere. It looks really promising. It's not immediate work, but it will be possibly starting at the end of next month, and there'll be some really potentially nice long-term work there. It sounds really good, actually. So the goal for me, just to kind of put it out there on camera and be transparent about the figures, because I think not enough people are transparent about their figures and stuff in business, especially when it comes to like margins. I think there's a lot of people, especially in e-com, who will talk about revenue, and they'll talk about maybe MRR or even like ARR or whatever it is, but they won't talk about their margins. And I think that's huge, because I think I tweeted this out the other day. I was like, there's not really that much difference, or there's no difference between someone who's doing 100k recurring revenue with like 10% margin, and someone who's doing 10k on their own and has like 100% of the revenue. So it makes a big difference. You see a lot of people banding around big revenue figures, but really what you want to know is what they're taking home at the end of the day. Not only is margin an aspect, you got to think about like tax and stuff like that. So after tax, most people are taking home pretty much half of whatever their revenue was after their expenses and margins and stuff. So it's much smaller actually than a lot of people think, what people are making online, especially like on money Twitter and things like that. So anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but talking about the figures, I think I want to get to, and I think I can get to, or will get to 20 to 25k MRR by the end of next month. Hopefully, it could be a bit ambitious. Currently I'm on like 10k, so that's good. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a really interesting month going forward, because especially next week is because I've had 2 weeks off, and I'm getting back into actually sort of running the agency, having like this lead gen process whilst also doing the work for the client. So it's going to be a nice test to see how much I can do and what I can do. I have been thinking about hiring a virtual assistant to actually just basically do my lead gen like system for me, which is actually relatively simple. I'm not going to talk about it yet until I found something that actually works. And even then, I don't know whether it's worth sharing or not. Right, it will be worth sharing, but you know, in terms of like people taking that process, I don't know if that's going to be like a secret sauce thing or something I don't care about giving away. But either way, we'll figure that out when the time comes. So yeah, in general, everything's moving well. Got my first potential client, or my second, I should probably say, including the one that I've been working with before. And yeah, we're just going for it really. The thing that I wanted to mention as well is like, the agency isn't the end goal. It's basically just the fact that the agency is my bread and butter and is what I know the best, and I just want to go as kind of hard with that as possible, and just sort of see where I get to. But ultimately, it's just something that's generating cash flow. I do enjoy design, of course, and it's a passion of mine, but I think it's more like a means to the next step than something that, you know, is the end, so to speak. Which I think maybe makes this whole series more interesting as well, if I talk about where I want to go. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, I have started up startups in the past, usually around health and wellness. So I've done a gym clothing brand that was paired with a meditation app. So it was like gym clothing for the body, app for the mind kind of thing. I actually started up another meditation app startup with 2 Canadian guys, which ultimately didn't work out because, well, I don't know how much I should say about that, but yeah, I will say. So basically, I was building like the whole product and this like new technology that allows you to measure your breath just using the camera on your phone. And the other guy's job was basically to bring in the leads and the investment, and they just weren't doing that. So ultimately it sort of failed around the COVID crash kind of time, and it never really got picked up since. Maybe it will come back to life one day, but to be honest, I've sort of moved on since then and built a lot more of my own technology. So really interested in artificial intelligence, computer vision, and how that applies to like technology and biotechnology and like quantifying health, and things like that. So in the future, that's sort of where I want to go. I have actually got a startup called Aligner, which uses computer vision to track your posture as you're working at the computer. I'm actually selling that startup right now on MicroAcquire, which is a really cool website. Definitely check that out. You can list and buy startups on there for not actually that much money, depending on, of course, what the MRR is usually. So yeah, that's kind of the vision. You know, I want to go towards building more like SaaS products and things that are based around, like, let's say, innovative new technology. But you know, it's a long way away, and it's more about sort of starting here to then put the investment in, because that's what I've done wrong in the past. I've been too ambitious with, let's say, the new technologies that I've built, and they've been very hard to market because a lot of people can't even fathom that you can read someone's heart rate from their camera, or their breathing, or their mood, not even using like facial gestures. Like, people can't really fathom that, and so it needs a lot of marketing budget to allow people to understand that. So that's sort of where I'm going, but of course the design agency is really, as I say, the bread and butter, and that's the focus. So I suppose the second part of this is all about life in general. That's kind of how I'm deciding to split these videos up, like work and then life, kind of sort of separate. As I said at the beginning of the video, like, this whole last week has been really about finding balance and realizing balance, to be honest. Because again, I think I tweeted about this. It's like, you need to find the balance between your work life and your social life in order to not burn out and continue on with the mission that you're on. And I think I've been finding that slowly more, especially with that Munich break that I thought I didn't want, or I thought I didn't need. I actually did need it. And it just gave me that, relaxation that I needed to then go back full force with the agency stuff. But it's not just been about that. It's been about kind of like, in a deeper sense, how does an entrepreneur balance contentment and gratitude with determination and like discipline, because oftentimes we're told like, oh, you need to appreciate what you have and where you are, and then of course the flip side is like, well, you need to keep growing and keep like, you know, persisting with whatever it is you're doing, right? So I've sort of struggled with that for a long time, probably in my life actually, like getting that balance right. And I think now it's getting a bit easier. I started actually going out in the morning just for like a 5-minute walk usually, and just like just appreciating where I live and what I've built for myself. Because yeah, I don't know, it's been a lot of years in the making, like where I am right now. And I think oftentimes I don't really like stop to smell the roses, so to speak. So I think that's a really important thing, just like appreciating where I am before I then go back into working and thinking about more about growing. So I think that's a really nice thing. I'm going to try and keep that up, because I think it really helps just to keep that balance between gratitude and like hustling, so to speak. So that's good. There was balance in other things. Oh yeah, the gym. So I have a personal trainer. I've got a really nice setup going. Like it's like a private gym, and the personal trainer does my meals for me, the meal prep, everything. All I've got to do is like reheat the meals, which is really nice. Some people think it's lazy. I just think it's efficient. So I think it's really good, and I would actually recommend anyone who's running a business to do meal prep, because it keeps your nutrition in check. It's worth the money, and it's also worth the money because you're saving time. Like if I was cooking my meals every day, I'd be wasting like a couple of hours at least each day just doing that. And I'm not someone who particularly enjoys cooking, at least not when it's just like the same thing every day, which is what meal prep really is, just like chicken and rice and vegetables really. So yeah, definitely would recommend that. But my point is like the balance with the gym, because when you're physically doing so much, it can also affect you mentally and your focus. Like today, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm much more tired today because I did like a pretty strenuous like leg workout where I hit PBs yesterday, and now I'm sort of paying the cost for that in terms of my productivity today. I'm kind of like having to really just like focus like consciously, like just really like not stray away from the computer or like go and do something else random, that sort of thing. So finding the balance between like really like hitting the fitness goals, which is something that's quite important to me at the moment, and also like making sure that doesn't like take away from the business, is something that I found pretty difficult, but definitely getting there much more. Also eating these like it's not a sponsor, I promise, these grenade bars, they're super good. So if any of you guys are like loving the gym, these are really nice. It just tastes so good. It tastes like chocolate bars, and they've like got like 1 or 2 grams of sugar in them, so it's pretty decent. I think that's probably everything for this episode. I don't think there's much more to talk about. I just think it's really about like persisting, but in a way that's sustainable, because that's what I've not done well in the past. So someone at the door. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But for now, I think that's it, and see you in the next one. Peace.